Ah, Smart Water. Pure, crisp taste.
That's really good water.
It's the kind of water that says, I have my life together.
I do feel more sophisticated.
Smart Water. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
Tron is back.
Are you serious?
And it must be seen on the biggest screen possible.
Whoa!
Experience mind-blowing visuals and one of the best film scores of all time.
I just can't get enough.
It's the game-changing,
Hang on!
cinematic spectacle
Oh my God!
you've been waiting for.
How cool is that?
Tron Ares, rated PG-13, may be inappropriate for children under 13. Only in theaters this Friday. Get tickets now.
Buckeye Talk is about to begin. Hey, 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 come on in.
Welcome back to Buckeye Talk. I'm Stephen Means. That's Stefan Krajisnik, and that is Andrew Gillis. We talked with Ryan Day ahead of Ohio State's ranked game against Illinois. This is the second time this year that they're playing a team who was ranked. They played Texas in week 1. Texas is no longer ranked, though, because they stink. Illinois is still ranked, though. And this is also the first time they go on to Champaign with Ryan Day as the head coach. Illinois is ranked 17th right now. This will be the first trip to Champaign for Ryan Day as the head coach of Ohio State. That they were supposed to play back in 2020, but the game got canceled because of COVID. And it's actually, I think, the first time they've played Illinois in general since, I think, 2017. And Ryan Day even pointed that out. And the reason he pointed that out is, no, he didn't point it out, but somebody else did. Like, Dwayne Haskins had to come in for a couple of snaps for JT Barrett that year, and I think he fumbled a snap or something like that. I'll have to fact check that. But we did talk with Ryan Day about a bunch of different topics. I guess, Stefan, where do we start? Do we start with the fact that Ryan Day is adamant that Illinois is a top 10 team and you should throw out what happened to them against Indiana? Or should we start with whether or not Kenyatta Jackson is going to play in this game? Where do you want to start? Or anywhere. Where do you want to start about what we learned from Ryan Day today?
I want to start with Ryan Day being Nick Saban and being absolutely terrified of losing at every given moment of every given day. Like the number one thing.
Okay, so we're picking back up where we were on the Monday pod. Cool. I like this.
Yeah. Number one thing is, like, I wake up every morning and the first thing on my mind is, what if we lose a football game? And that cannot happen. Like that is where Ryan Day is. Like he literally said that whenever Ohio State gets complimented for how good they are, he worries that they're being set up to lose. Like that is peak like football coach. Like the jokes about like peak male body, like that is peak football coach. What Ryan Day was saying there. It's you joked about it, Steven, before we got on here. Like essentially all he had to do was just say rat poison, and it would have been probably like copy and paste from something Nick Saban once said, like going into a game. And I think this Illinois game is I don't want to say like Ohio State's being set up or that this is like a trap game, because I do think Ohio State has known for a while how tough this trip was going to be, and how good, this Illinois team can be. Obviously injuries have derailed their season a little bit, but they're still, like you said, a top 20 team. You're playing on the road. It's 11 a.m. local. That place is, I don't know if it's the toughest place to play, but it's going to be rocking. It's going to be loud, at least early on in the game. And Ohio State, if they're not playing their best selves or something close to that, could very well lose this game. Now, they are 16.5-point favorites. Last I checked, they are really good. They are definitely the superior team. But I understand where Ryan Day's talking about, the being set up thing, because football in every sense of the word, or every sense of the sport, is set up for a team is feeling really good and a team is at rock bottom, and rock bottom beats very good. We literally saw last week where, sure, Penn State wasn't riding a high, but you would think a motivated Penn State team coming off a loss would beat the crap out of a bad UCLA team, and you see what happens. And I think this Illinois team is better, much better than that UCLA team, and that's a much tougher place to play than Pasadena for a UCLA home game. I see where Ryan Day's coming from. Like he talked about how you're dealing with a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds who it's easy to let your guard down and think that, you've accomplished something before you actually really have, let alone a team that's coming off a national title. I get where Ryan Day's coming from, and I think his message since the Minnesota game has been pretty clear of, hey, I don't care how good we are or how troublesome the other program is right now or how bad of a spot the other program is right now. Anything can happen in this sport, and he is terrified of that happening to his team, like petrified of the idea of losing a football game. For a coach that just went 10-2 and won a national title. So, like, you would think Ryan Day, of all people, would be like, hey, things happen, we can be fine. No, he's like, last season sucked. Like, having to go through that before the playoff sucked. I don't want to do that. I would rather go 16-0.
Yeah, I was like thinking, as you were talking there, like, is there not a more perfect person to do this than Ryan Day? Like, Ryan Day has seen the ugliness of fandom to a degree that I don't know ever reached like other coaches. Like, think about like other coaches' low points. Nick Saban, do you remember, I think it was like first or second year, they lost to University of Louisiana Monroe at home. And like, there's like a lot of stories about how Saban basically, that was the game that helped him get the cards in order and get the house in order, because he was able to turn and look at people and say like, hey, listen up, idiots. We're going to follow my lead because this is what you've been doing and this is why we're here. And like the low point for Ryan Day's tenure was like, okay, they're like a loss away to Tennessee from firing him. And then there was a whole lot of personal stuff, which just got really, really ugly. And I think Ryan Day, like, he still has that in his mind. He still has that in the back of his head of like, he has seen what it can be. Like, think about how much we were talking about Ohio State last year as like this super team concept. And then they lost to Oregon and it was like, well, actually probably the defense is not that good and they probably just kind of blew their super team thing. And then they lost to Michigan and it was like, hey, they didn't play well. They didn't coach well. They didn't do anything well against Michigan. And then it was, well, this team sucks and they're terrible and they're bad and everybody should get fired and they should put everybody in the portal and they should start the whole thing over and let's call Mike Vrabel and blah, 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 blah. And then they were still 10-2 and they were going to the playoff and it was like the lowest of lows on a personal level and a mental level and emotional level. And I think Ryan Day has personal experience with that, which is why I think this kind of hits home for him. Is not just like, look, all football coaches are psychopaths where it's like, you reach a level of, if they have to worry about a fake punt that we did 2 years ago for 5 minutes during a practice week, then we're winning because they had to do that and blah, blah, blah. Like, I get it. But this feels like a different, Ryan Day than I had seen in the first 2 years I was here.
I laughed, Stefan, because you said all those things and then went. And with that being said, Ohio State is favored by 17 points on Saturday.
Penn State was favored by 24.5.
No, I understand. I understand. Listen, all Saturday did was now Ryan Day doesn't look crazy when he's yelling at these things to his players.
Can you imagine how nutty he's going to be during UCLA week when they play UCLA in November? After they're like, if they're still undefeated when they play UCLA is not a good football team. They're not like going to turn it around. I don't think they're not going to be like, hey, this is our resurgence and now Nico is going to bounce back and maybe we can play for a bowl game. No, UCLA stinks out loud and they just beat the snot out of a Penn State team that had no emotion, no life. And Ryan Day is going to get there talking about like a 1 or 2 win football team and be like, guys, you don't understand. This is the best 1-win football team that's ever existed.
I need Ohio
State is.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say Michigan State's at home 8.5 point favorite against UCLA this week. That might be the play.
I need Ohio State to blow out Penn State because if that game goes the way every Ohio State Penn State game goes, Andrew, you are right. I mean, listen, you see how tough of a game Penn State was, and UCLA beat them. I think Ryan Day is right though. He said every time people talk good about us, I think we're being set up. I think he's full on Saban mode, but I also don't think he's wrong to say that with this team. I almost respect Illinois had 3 weeks there where it's like, you're not as good as you were last week. You're not as bad as you were last week either. Like, they just had a bad game against Indiana, and they had a bad game against a really good football team. So, of course, they got out of control that day. And that's the bigger message Ryan Day was trying to convey about Illinois was that we're beating you by 50 points bad. 17 points? Probably. Sure. We'll see. We'll see how the game plays out on Saturday. But they are not. If we are expecting to walk in there and just win by 50 because Indiana won by 50, we are already approaching this wrong. And that's what he's telling. And he used what happened last year coming off of a bye week when Nebraska came to Columbus in the Ohio State's first game since the loss to Oregon. Nebraska also got ran out of the building by Indiana. And everybody looked at that game and thought, oh, if that's what Indiana's doing in Nebraska, and Indiana's a nobody, then what is Ohio State about to do, especially since they're angry because of the way the Oregon game ended and they had 2 weeks to prepare for it. And then it's a 4-quarter football game that essentially comes down to Dylan Raiola throwing a pick at the end of the game. And they win 21-17. And we're all like, this didn't get better. What did you do for 2 weeks? And I respect that mindset. We're talking about the lunatic fringe, and maybe Ryan Day's a part of that now. But he's not wrong for that approach. And I do think it works this year, Andrew, because it's a bunch of new guys who still this is a good football team. But these are still a bunch of, as Caden Curry said, no-name people trying to prove themselves and make a name for themselves. So they don't really have room to be happy with what they've done for 5 weeks because they haven't done anything technically.
Yeah, it's the proverbial carrot on the stick, right? Like you're able to keep dangling that for a couple of different reasons. Number one, it is very easy. I know Ryan Day doesn't want to talk about last year's team and go into last year's team, but I think everybody that was here last year knows what that felt like and knows the kind of, abuse that some of these players took, like mentally and online and things like that, and how difficult that was for them. I'm not saying that they didn't deserve criticism, but like it was not great. It was not a fun 3 weeks for Ohio State after that Michigan game. And I think just the constant reminder of what it can be, the constant reminder of, some of these guys, we talked about Jermaine Matthews and Arvell Reese. And like, I remember at the beginning of the year, I was kind of like chuckling as I said it because it felt so weird to say, where I was like, Jermaine Matthews and Arvell Reese are draft eligible. And like, we might've done it on a recruiting podcast, Steve, where I was just like, hey, these guys could technically go pro if they wanted to. And they haven't played. They hadn't done anything. And I think they're playing for a lot of different things, right? Where I think that is the motivation, right? It's so what? You played 5 good games, and as the schedule looks right now, you haven't played a ranked team yet. Like, I know Texas is part of the reason why they're not ranked, and Washington's part of the reason why they're not ranked. I understand that. But like, it's very easy if you're a head coach trying to blur the lines between truth and say like, what are we celebrating for? We haven't beaten a ranked team. We haven't done this. We haven't done that. We're still trying to get guys into position to go pro. And it's just, I think Ryan Day is hitting all the right notes with that.
To be fair, they have beaten a ranked team.
Well, I'm saying it's very easy for somebody to try to motivate somebody.
No, I know. Anybody who
we haven't beaten blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
No, I know. And I'm telling those people they have beaten the ranked team. Ohio State is part of the reason Texas is no longer ranked.
Yeah.
They have 2 losses. They have 2 losses, and one of them is to Ohio State. So let's keep, I get it.
If Washington played Maryland first instead of Ohio State, they would have been ranked for that Ohio State game.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
I get it. Teams evolve. We learn new information. We have found out in hindsight that Penn State and Texas probably should not have been the number 1 and number 2 preseason teams. Whatever. Like, what was people we can't change other people's resumes simply because other teams weren't as good as we thought they were going to be, especially when the team is part of the reason we now think that. And that's also about Indiana. Because people like to do that with Indiana too. It's like, yeah, Indiana is the reason why Illinois is not a top 10 team right now. That's their only loss. What next, Stefan? Where do you want to go next?
We can talk about defensive line. It sounds like Ohio State's hopeful that Kenyatta Jackson will play Saturday against Illinois, which I think is important. But I think, he talked a bit about the defensive line depth. I think Spencer Holbrook asked him about it. Yeah. And the unit as a whole, like, we talked a lot about defensive tackle, and maybe because of some questions at defensive tackle, we didn't talk about defensive end as much. But both areas have given Ohio State kind of what they wanted, right? Like, you have at the top end with Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson and Bo Atkinson, like, you're kind of getting out of them what you hope you'd be getting, right? Caden Curry's got 5 sacks. Like, you're getting out of them what you thought you would be getting. Caden McDonald, you're getting from him what you thought. Edric Houston, I think we saw glimpses before he left the game against Minnesota of what we thought he would be. Tywone Malone's better than we thought. Jarquez Carter's coming along. Will Smith Jr. has been great. Like, you're getting what you want from the defensive line, so much so that you can start to look big picture. And that's why CJ Hicks can take a step back with his coaching staff and say, hey, what if you redshirted, gave yourself another year of developing at defensive end, and then came back next year for an extra year of eligibility, and we're full go, like, ready to go at defensive end? Because I don't know what the roster is going to look like next year, right? Who's going to be here? Who's not going to be here? And you get twofold big picture here, because you get another year of CJ Hicks, and with CJ Hicks being out of the lineup for the rest of the regular season, barring some injuries forcing him back into the lineup, there's a spot now where Zion Grady can move up and play those snaps that CJ Hicks was playing. And now Zion Grady's coming along as a defensive end and a freshman. So what all the questions that we had about defensive line have kind of been answered, and they've been answered so much so that you can start taking this big picture approach and start, going a different route than maybe you had even thought. So, and then Arvell Reese too, like adds a whole other element to this. I know, Steven, we did a video after today's presser where you asked Andrew, like, which young guy on the defensive line benefits the most, and Zion Grady is the obvious answer there. But like Peyton Pierce is a guy who could benefit from this, right? Because Arvell Reese is also factoring into what you do at defensive end and in terms of getting after the quarterback, where you can maybe play Peyton Pierce some more. And if Kenyatta's out or whatever it may be, you can play Bo Atkinson, but you could also play Arvell Reese there and have Peyton Pierce come onto the field. So there's between the front four and what you have at linebacker, there's so much flexibility and versatility that you are in a great spot to where you can say, hey, CJ Hicks, what if you just get ready for next year? And also he would be available for the playoff if they were to need him there. So it's an interesting dynamic because I think Ohio State's in such a good spot with their defensive line right now that the questions from a few months ago kind of seem like a distant memory, because here we are looking ahead to, Ohio State's trip to Texas next year and how they can better position themselves for that game. And it's by CJ Hicks redshirting potentially.
Isn't there like talks right now, Stefan, of them already just making 5 years period, not 5 to play 4, but just you get 5 years period right now happening?
Yeah. There's a ton of eligibility conversations, but I think that's among them.
Okay. And because the reason why I'm thinking about CJ Hicks and Malik Hartford, if they're going to retro, I think CJ's played all 4 already. Malik's played 2. They can only play in 4 regular season games. So that's 4 of the 12. Okay. That doesn't include a conference championship game, and it doesn't include a potential playoff run, which can be anywhere from 3 to 4 games, depending on your seed and whether you make it to the national championship game. So somehow, hey, you can only play in 4 games, but actually you can play in up to 9.
Yep.
Which is so you can play half of the season, but because you didn't play in October and November, you get to keep your red shirt. And actually, it sounds stupid when you put it that way, but I get it because postseason games you have to earn the right to be in. So so they're bonus games, so I get it. But it's funny to think about it in that way. Andrew, scale of 1 to 10, confidence level, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. What was your confidence in the Ohio State defensive line on August 30th, 2025, at 9 o'clock in the morning when you woke up to make your way to Ohio Stadium? And where is it today on October 8th? 7th as we're recording, 8th as the world is hearing it. Where is it now versus where it was 2 months ago?
It's probably like a 4 or 5 for the defensive line, because I had said kind of all year that, and all summer, I guess, that I thought that Caden McDonald and Ohio State's like interior of what we thought was going to be Edric Houston. Okay, McDonald and Houston, I was like, okay, that's the best defensive tackle tandem in the Big Ten. And then I thought you had bodies at end, but I thought that there were kind of some mixing and matching there. I didn't trust the depth of the defensive tackle room. I didn't trust the high-end ability of the edge rushers, where they're, Caden Curry, because I think I said to start the year that it was going to be Bo and Kenyatta that were probably their 2 edge rushers, and that's not been the case, obviously. So I questioned the high-end ability of the edge rushers, but I didn't really have concerns about the depth. I did not question Ohio State's defensive tackles, but I had questions about the depth. So like a 4, like a 5, somewhere in there, probably more towards 5. Now I'm at like an 8. I feel really, really good about this defensive line. Caden Curry's been very, very good. They've been able to move him all around. Matt Patricia deserves a lot of credit for, putting a lot of guys in the right spots, keeping guys fresh, keeping guys moving around. I mean, Steven, you're talking about go back to August 1st. Okay, I come back from the future and tell you guys, hey, I have one thing to tell you about the season, and Edric Houston is going to be banged up, and when he plays, he's not going to be very good because he keeps committing penalties, and Ohio State's not going to be able to play him a lot. Steven and Stefan would have been like ringing that like alarm, like like the hurricane alarm, or like the alarm that they play before like the Carolina Hurricanes games or like Vegas Golden Knights games, where it's like they have like the fan of the game and then they just play the siren. Steven and Stefan that thing's cranking, like they're like, oh, this is bad. this is very, very bad for Ohio State's defensive line. And they've been really good. So yeah, I'm at like an 8 right now, I would say, with that defensive line. I think they probably need another step from Taiwan. But man, this has been really, really impressive from a unit that I think it was completely fair and reasonable to have some decent questions about.
Okay. Let's take a break, and then we're going to allow Andrew to pick what we talk about next.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Plus. Paramount Plus has movies. So many movies. The movies you've seen 1,000 times and could watch 1,000 more. Iconic movies your friends can't believe you haven't seen. New movies, classic movies, new takes on classic movies. So whether you're into Top Gun or The Naked Gun, Mean Girls or Mission Impossible, Smurfs or Sonic the Hedgehog, there's a mountain of movies to discover on Paramount Plus. Start streaming today.
This is a real good story about Bronx and his dad, Ryan, real United Airlines customers.
We were returning home, and one of the flight attendants asked Bronx if he wanted to see the flight deck and meet Captain Andrew.
I got to sit in the driver's seat.
I grew up in an aviation family, and seeing Bronx kind of reminded me of myself when I was that age.
That's Andrew, a real United pilot.
These small interactions can shape a kid's future.
It felt like I was the captain.
Allowing my son to see the flight deck will stick with us forever.
That's how good leads the way.
Once upon a mundane morning, Barb's day got busy without warning. A realtor in need of an open house sign. No, 50 of them, and designed before 9.
My head hurts.
Any mighty tools to help with this plight? Aha! Barb made her move. She opened Canva and got in the groove.
Bulk creating Canva sheets. Create 50 signs fit for suburban streets.
Done in a click, all complete.
Sweet!
Now, imagine what your dreams can become when you put imagination to work at canva.com.
We're back in Buckeye Talk. Stephen Means, Stefan Krajisnik, and Andrew Gillis. We're discussing the things we learned from Ryan Day at his weekly press conference as the Buckeyes prepare to face Illinois on Saturday. Andrew, what's the next topic on the docket to discuss here of what we learned from Ryan Day on Tuesday?
Yeah, I'm going to go in a place that you probably did not think I was going to go. Special teams, there doesn't seem to be a change on the horizon right now for Ohio State. We asked Ryan Day about Brandon Inniss and punt returner after the Washington game, and he didn't seem to waver. He was pretty stern with you've got to hang on to the ball, you can't fumble it, it's not good, blah blah blah. Like you know. He was stern with Brandon Inniss, and we said that probably makes sense. He can handle it. Today, I think it was Bill Landis asked him, "Do you think you need a kicker who can make a 50-yard kick?" Jaden Fielding has never made a 50-yard kick in a game. I have his stats on ESPN right here. He is 0 for 1 this year. They trotted him out there against Minnesota. He was 0 for 1 the year before. He was 0 for 1 the year before that. He just hasn't been able to connect at a range that you would want like that. And Ryan was basically like, yeah, like I think it's very important, but we're going to stick with him because we have to go off what we've seen in practice. Jaden Fielding, he's only tried 5 field goals this year. He's 4 for 5. But as with most college kickers, he does struggle with range. He told us a little bit before, I think it was this past week actually, that he had he had the leg for like a 64-yard kick. It just went wide left. He went wide left the other day. So for those that are worried and curious and skeptical, Ohio State, I don't think is going to make a change at kicker, at least not right now. And I think Jaden Fielding's fine. He's never missed a kick 20 to 29 yards. He missed 2 in 24. The 20 to 29 range. He's perfect. 30 to 39, he missed 2 kicks last year. Obviously, those were fairly big kicks. But he hasn't been able to connect from long range. And I think Ryan, this goes into it where Ryan's kind of worried about what happens if you need a game-winning kick and it's a 52-yard kick. Do you trust Jaden Fielding? And I don't know, but I think he kind of has to right now.
I think you just throw the ball deep with a guy who's shown you he can complete deep balls.
I mean, what if you're in a situation like the Georgia game in the Peach Bowl where it's a 40-yard game-winning field goal, you make it, you win, or the choice is a Hail Mary. You're kicking the field goal.
I'm throwing the Hail Mary.
No, you're not. No, you're
Why
not.
wouldn't I?
Come on.
Seriously, what proof has Ohio State shown you that it's worth kicking the field goal? You just
Because-
robbed the Georgia game. That was literal proof of why I think you would have been better off just using CJ's arm. That field goal that Noah Ruggles kicked against Georgia in the Peach Bowl, I don't even think it made it to the end zone. You don't think
no, he
CJ's
botched it.
arm?
It was a 50-yard field goal, and it wasn't even close.
Right. You know who could have made it to the end zone? The arm of CJ Stroud.
I mean, what do you think is more likely, though? A kicker making a 50-yard kick or a Hail Mary?
In
There's
this
a reason
offense?
one of them is called
Hold
a
on.
kick and one of them is named after a literal prayer.
With this personnel, I don't know the dude who's 12 of 14 on deep balls versus the guy who's 0 for 3 in his career.
Come on,
You
man.
cannot
Those
compare
deep balls
any
are not
deep
the
ball he's
same.
thrown to a Hail Mary.
Yeah, what about when they play Alabama in the playoff? They're sending 8 people back into the end zone.
In the words of
Actually-
McAfee at the Rose Bowl, it's a lot easier to complete a deep ball when Jeremiah Smith is wide ass open. What if there's 4 guys on him? It's a little tougher. Listen, I'm with you.
First of all, no. We watched Jeremiah Smith catch a pass over 4 Oregon defenders in the Rose Bowl last year. I'm not hearing you.
I get it. I think JJ can go up and catch it with anyone. But to just call that a deep ball that's not exactly just a deep ball.
Okay, fine. Let me actually break it down then and not just dismiss it because I thought we were going to have fun with this. It changes the way you call the plays to get to that point.
Remember the
last time we went to Michigan, Andrew, and Ohio State played for a field goal to close out the first half?
Yeah, he let the clock run for like 35 seconds.
And what happened?
They missed the field goal.
Okay, so what this was on Saturday, and Stefan and I, we talked about this on the Monday part, and then Ryan Day validated this. This is the 3rd time Ryan Day has put Jaden Fielding in a position in a game to show him that what he's doing in practice can translate. And for the 3rd time, it did not translate. So what have we learned? This isn't about like, oh, you have no choice but to kick a 53-yard field goal. Sure, of course. If there's no choice, then you have to kick it and you have to live with the results. But that's not a scenario they're trying to plan for. This is about 1 minute and 17 seconds left on the clock, and you're getting the ball at the 37-yard line. And you need to go win a game. Or not, we don't even have to go that extreme. 1 minute and 37 left in the first half. And you got 2 timeouts. And you need to go get some points out of the drive. You don't call plays to try to get 3 points. You call plays to try to go get 6.
Yeah.
Because one has proven capable of working. The other one is not. I do not think, I know he did not call plays in a way where on 4th and 6 on your side of the field, they sent out Jalen Fielding because they want to make sure that we have this rep so that Jaden Fielding can do this again in a college football playoff game. No, this was about seeing if you could do it at all. And we're 3 strikes out. So when you have this offense, this quarterback, you go be aggressive and try to score. Because worst case scenario, you're in the same position you're already in where you got no points out of it.
Yeah, this is an offense that I think you're right. They you're down by 3, 2, or 1 at in the end of a game scenario. You're not saying, let's get to the 30 and we're fine. Like, let's get to, we're okay if we get inside of 50 even. Like, this is just a situation where I think you have to try to be aggressive. So yeah, you're right in there where it's like it does change the way that I think you have to approach some of these situations. Now, if it's Illinois and it's 18 seconds left and you're on 10 and you somehow get to the 35-yard line and there's 2 seconds left and you're up 17-0, they kick the field goal, sure, whatever. Like, if you're backed up in a situation like that and there's nothing left other than a Hail Mary, kick the field goal.
Why are you so anti every scenario where there's a chance for Ohio State to do what it's good at?
You would think Gillis of all people would trust an Ohio State receiver to catch a Hail Mary, considering what Noah Brown did to my team last year. But
I think we need to break that down. It's why are you so anti throw the ball?
Anti throw the ball? No, I'm pro throw the ball. I'm anti send 4 receivers down there. No.
I understand that.
Brandon Ennis is not climbing that ladder to go beat somebody for a jump ball.
Because
but I'm saying that there's going to be 9 people on Jeremiah. They're going to send the band. It's going to be like Stanford Cow. They're going to send the band out there.
You know what that means?
Jeremiah, so he doesn't tackle.
And if there's 9 people in Jeremiah, that means there's only 2 people on Cardinal Tate.
I mean, you're just playing the odds at that point.
No, but all seriously, listen. Why are you against it? Because it's, hey, man, I think they're going to throw this ball this week. No, I know, but they got to run the ball. Hey, man,
No,
I think they should be
more
aggressive.
than they run it, but it doesn't mean you can't.
But this is
It doesn't mean you have to throw it 40 times a game and run it once.
No, I understand that. No one said that. What we said is we have come on this pod now for almost a year. We've been together for a year now. Stefan, I don't know. You may agree with me or you may not. It feels like whenever we go, why don't you just do the thing they're good at? Gillis, you go. Yeah, I don't know, man. You got to run the ball. I don't know, man. I think you should kick the field goal. I don't know, man. I think you should do the things that you keep proving you can't do instead of doing the thing that you're really good at.
I think we're probably taking it out of context a little bit, but I'm fine.
Of course I am. I know.
I'm fine starting a narrative. I don't care. I'll start any
Listen,
narrative I want.
Last year was the Miami boys. Last year was the Miami boys. This year it's to run the ball, even though you're better at throwing it. It's okay.
I will say, like this conversation, we're making jokes about like Hail Mary or field goal. I don't think that's really what the debate is. The debate is
correct.
When it was 3rd and 9 and Minnesota's defending against the pass. That might be a situation now where you run it and you try to get 5 yards. Like they got 3 yards to set up the 4th and 6. Like maybe that's a situation where you do a halfback draw and you try to gain 4 yards because you know that you're going for it on 4th down. And instead of setting up a 4th and 6, you would try to set up a 4th and 3, a 4th and 4, something a bit more manageable. So I think that's where this comes into play of you probably are calling your 3rd down plays maybe a little bit more differently. If you're telling Brian Hartline, hey, if you don't get this, but it's 4th and 5, we're going to go for it, as opposed to kicking a 53-yarder. So I think that's probably where we see fielding struggles maybe impact the offense the most.
And the reason
it's tough because Ohio State has an offense where on 3rd and 9, like you can convert. So I understand like you run a passing play there, and even no matter what Minnesota's running, you think you can get the 1st down. And they got 3 yards, which like in theory, you probably like a 4, 5, 6 yard run is a successful run. Like it might be a 3-yard run, and you're setting up 4th and 6 regardless. So like I'm not totally against what they called, but if it's, I guess maybe 3rd and 9 is a tough spot. But if it's 3rd and 5. I'm fine with them running it to set up a 4th and 2. Like that. I think they're in that spot where you can start thinking about your 3rd down plays as not so desperate because you know that you're going to go for it on 4th down instead of what is so we point out the misses that Jaden Fielding has had from 50 plus outside of the Michigan game. Like he did win or seal the college football national championship game it was a chip shot, but like I think you can trust Jaden Fielding from 35 in. Right, like you don't need to get reckless at the end of a half because you don't trust him kicking a 35-yarder. Well, if you're in that 50-yard field goal range, that's just from what we've seen, that's just not in his bag, right? Like you can't ask me to bring out a 3-iron if I don't have a 3-iron in my bag. Like you're gonna have to settle for the 4-iron and hope that you can get it there, or play smart with your pitching wedge and set up your next shot and say, hey, I'm going to try to go up and down instead of trying to get on in regulation. Like there, you have to approach the situation differently now, knowing that that's just a 50-yard field goal is just it's not in the bag for Jaden Fielding.
And just as a reminder, part of the reason they were in 4th and 6 to begin with is they didn't really execute the play that they ran on 3rd and 9. They had a 1st down. It's Carnell running a drag route. Julian throws it just behind him, which running full speed. Now you have to slow down and catch the ball. And then the turf monster got Carnell because he had the step and he would have gotten the 1st down, but the turf monster got him. And I get it. Now you're presented an opportunity to find out about your kicker. And you have now found out about your kicker. And so now you adjust accordingly. I agree with you that last year's Michigan game was a fluke. It was just the wrong time to have a fluke. But that's also going to be in the back of your head. That didn't just go, sure, we can chalk it up to the hip injury that Jaden Fielding was dealing with, but the hip injury didn't impact him when he had to seal the game for the national championship, right? And even if I don't think that was still a 2-score game, even if Jaden Fielding didn't make the field goal, I believe.
It was an 8-point game. So, like, it would have been a miracle for Notre Dame.
Okay, so, like, they got to score and get a 2-point conversion. Okay, but still, sorry. It still isn't like, we just score a normal touchdown with a PAT and now the game is tied or we take the lead situation. So, but still, that's a high leverage situation, man. That Michigan game, and you missed 2.
He is 21 of 23 from 39 and inside of 39.
And those
two misses came against Michigan.
And those
career 12 of 16 from 40 to 49 and 0 of 3 from 50 plus. His career long is 47 yards.
And those 2 misses weigh as much as the 21 makes, because what it led to. You're saying, Andrew, before those 2 kicks,
he was perfect,
batting 1,000
inside of 39. Yep.
And then he goes 0 for 2, and Ohio State loses 10.
Yep.
So obviously we have never. It's not Jaden one. Okay,
he went 1 for 3.
Was the other one inside of 30 as well
against Michigan? You mean?
Yeah, were all 3 of his inside of 30?
That game, no, he made 1 kick that was 20 to 29. I don't know how long it was, but it was 20 to 29 yards.
And then the 2 misses were 30 to 30.
And the 2 misses were 30 to 30.
Okay, so
he made a 29-yard kick, and then he missed 2 field goals.
Okay,
30 to 30.
The point is, yes, obviously the play calling on offense was horrid, and none of that would have mattered if he makes 2 chip shot field goals.
I think moving forward, Jaden Fielding, if it's an early drive that stalls, might get an opportunity. If he misses the kick, you won't see him the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Like if Ohio State's first drive against Michigan ends with a missed field goal, Ohio State's they're not going to be messing around with it.
No, they went against Washington on the road, their first opening drive, they went for it on 4th down in an area that's a chip shot. They didn't the second time because they didn't execute, so they gave him the field goal. But yeah, I fully expect if it is 4th and 5 or shorter, I think they're going to go for it on Saturday.
Yeah, I think I would agree. You also the defense matters here, right? So if he missed the 53-yarder against Minnesota.
Yeah,
so
it didn't matter.
The line of scrimmage was a 35-yard line.
Yep,
you're fine with your defense starting at the 35-yard line, and if it's closer to midfield because you're at the 40 and you don't convert on 4th down, I think you trust your defense at this point.
Yeah, the trusting your defense to get a stop no matter where they are in the field plays a role in this. You can be a little bit more aggressive now that you've unlocked your offense. Okay, Andrew, one more thing. What did we learn?
They think Josh Padilla is a starting level player, but I don't know if he's going to start. I think they might have a rotation. I think they might not have a set rotation and they start Tegra, and then it's a feel thing where it's like, hey, Tegra looks pretty good. Josh, sit down. Everybody sit down. Everybody hold. And then at the end of the first half, against Illinois, let's say it's 17-3, and then you got the ball coming out of the second half, and it's like, you know what, this is a good time. This is a good time to put somebody in the game. They might put Josh Padilla in the game. Ryan Day said that Josh Padilla is a starting level player. He's played very well. He's repped at guard and center. They wanted to get him reps to kind of reward him for that. I think we mentioned this in one of our videos. Like Tegra also had, we think, the blunder against the field goal team where he kind of ran off the field and didn't need to run off the field. So that might have been a part of it as well. But, I think right now Ohio State, they really like Josh Padilla. Players, current and past, have praised Josh Padilla a lot as somebody who's going to be a really good player one day. And I just think that going to be a really good player one day might be soon. It doesn't seem like a change is imminent. It doesn't seem like, Josh Padilla is starting at right guard against Illinois or anything like that. But I do think it's absolutely possible to kind of start to consider this possibility of, we had been talking about Tegra at right guard and maybe Anyanwa at right guard, and maybe Anyanwa takes over. I think we need to start kind of including Padilla in that conversation. And frankly, maybe Padilla over Anyanwa.
40-10-9. Those are the snap counts in Saturday's game. At right guard, Josh Padilla also played 10 snaps at center, obviously, when the twos were in the game. But Tegra 40, Ethan Anyanwa 10, Joshua Padilla 9 snaps. Ryan Day said Tegra Shabola and Josh Padilla both graded out as champions. He did not say Ethan Anyanwa did, though. 60 plays, Stefan. If Ohio State plays 60 plays on Saturday, which is what they're averaging, about 60 plays a game right now, give me the snap counts at right guard. Meaningful snap counts. We're not including, if Ohio State somehow wins this game by 27 points and they're playing, and Lincoln Keenholz is in the game.
50 for Tegra, 10 for Josh Padilla.
You don't think we see Ethan at all?
No. And if it wasn't on the road, I think I would be a little bit higher on Josh Padilla. Snap counts. I think it being on the road probably inhibits that a little bit. But I think we'll see mostly Tegra, but only Padilla behind him.
So what do we make of that? You go get a guy from a transfer portal who's a multi-year starter at Rice. He's supposed to be your starting left tackle. He's not your starting left tackle. Okay, maybe he's your starting right tackle. He's not just starting right tackle. Okay, maybe they're moving him in the guard, which he has played before in his career. No, he's not just starting right guard. He's not even rotating. He's just more of a give Tegra a break guy. And now we're saying that the backup center is going to play on Saturday, and he is not. What are we supposed to – they haven't missed often on the transfer portal. And I think this is probably the loudest miss because this guy has at least played. Like Vic Cutler was never supposed to play for you, so that's a little bit different. What do we make of the Ethan Nyawa experience so far, where he's played 55 snaps in 5 games?
I just think you miss sometimes, and I think Ethan Onyawa hasn't hit the way they expected. I'll also say, like, it's probably to some extent a testament to Tyler Bowen and this staff, because like it's not like it's we had this discussion when we first started hearing about Austin Saraville potentially starting a left tackle of it's fine as long as Austin's there because Austin's good. Well, he's given up 1 pressure through 5 games, so like it's hard, you'd be hard pressed to tell me that Ethan Onyawa is better than Austin Saraville because of how good Austin Saraville is, not because of how bad Ethan Onyawa is. And I think the same goes for Philip Daniels at right tackle. And then maybe where you can kind of start to push against Ethan Onyawa a little bit is the fact that he can't jump Tegra on the depth chart. That's maybe where you get somewhat of an answer on Ethan. But some guys hit, some guys don't. And this, like you said, it's loud because he was supposed to be this team's starting left tackle. But it's also quiet because it hasn't cost you anything, right? Like you've developed your players well enough to fill whatever void there might be when your projected starting left tackle is no longer in your rotation. Like Ohio State's put themselves in a spot where this miss, albeit expensive, isn't figuratively costly, if that makes sense.
And how valuable is it, in my opinion? I think it's pretty valuable, but I'm asking kind of rhetorically, like how valuable is it to have a 5th-year guy who has positional versatility on your offensive line that like you very clearly like feel comfortable putting out there to some degree? Like they've played him,
but they don't. So
here's the thing. Like I'll put it like this: like it's an expensive backup. It's a very expensive backup. But like having a Nyanwa as a backup that can play tackle or guard, you could probably do worse.
Is that true?
I don't know if that's true. It sure sounds like Padilla's the backup interior offensive lineman and Ian Moore's the backup tackle.
Right. Because when every single time that
goes down, is it Ian Moore at left tackle or is it?
I think it's Ian. I mean, the 2 times that he's had to leave the game because he lost his helmet, they put Ian Moore out there.
No, Saraville. Like if Saraville, because like Ian Moore's played right tackle like last year and this year, he hasn't really played left.
Yeah,
tackle
but he also is repping with the 2s.
That's the thing. I don't know if they would swing him or not.
No, he's repping at left tackle with the 2s. He's their swing guy right now. He is the guy that if something happens to Austin or Phillip, he's the one that's going in the game right now. Now, Ethan Nyawa was not repping at tackle right now. It sounds like
Terry's the right tackle with the 2s.
Yeah, Justin Terry, who just got here in April. So I don't know if that's true. Oh, you got a guy who's played a lot of snaps, and that doesn't mean he's good just because he's played a lot. He's playing at Rice, and now I feel like I'm going. Now I feel like I'm being. I don't mean to be mean. But it's
so. I mean, some guys just work out and some guys don't. Like
I just think
it happens. Like we said this about Ethan when he got to Ohio State of like this is a guy who's making a major jump. Like as good as he was, as much as some NFL scouts were starting to hype him up, or NFL people on Twitter were starting to hype him up. He had not played at Ohio State, and we know like Max Clare talked about how tough it was to transition from Ohio State. He was an all Big Ten player, like let alone being a guy coming from Rice. Like it just happens sometimes.
The silver lining is that, sure, he's a miss, but also the players you actually recruited, signed out of high school and are developed, those are the reasons he can't get on the field. And I think there is ease in that, right? Because, I mean, I think there was more conversation about Ethan Nyawa than Philip Daniels, and Philip Daniels was coming from a school from the Big Ten who might win 7-8 games this year. They might go 9-3. Who knows? But the fact that the reason it's, hey, how come the guy you brought in here as a transfer because you weren't sure about your options? How come that guy's not playing? Because the options you weren't sure about, now you're 100% sure in those options. And those guys are in their 3rd year and they're balling. But yeah, we've gone from Ethan Nyawa played 15 snaps against Texas, 26 against Grambling, 14 against Ohio. He did not play against Washington. And he played 10 snaps at the end of the game against Minnesota. He has not played on the road in the Big Ten yet, and he has not played a meaningful snap of college football for the Buckeyes since the Ohio game. So I don't think that's true anymore you got a guy, and this is your 6th offensive lineman. I think right now it sounds like he's 9th, if my math is right. No, 8th at best, behind Josh Padilla. And again, we might do all this and get to Saturday and Ethan Nyawa's playing 15 snaps, right? But it's Ryan Day didn't say Ethan Nyawa's name when he got asked about Josh Padilla. He said, this is about Josh Padilla and what he's been doing in practice, and we were going to reward him with playing time. This wasn't we played him because we are not sure about the other guy. And I think that's probably a good place to be if you're Ohio State. Anything else that people want to bring up that we talked to Ryan Day about?
Jeremiah Smith for Heisman.
Do we go through the red shirts?
Who? I mean, this is his 5th year. I don't know if you can red shirt. But also, there's 27.
No, I'm saying, did we go through the red shirts of CJ and because there were?
Yeah, I said that at the beginning. Yeah, they're they're red shirting as long as nothing happens that forces them to not have to red shirt.
Jeremiah Smith for Heisman,
or Julian Sands for Heisman.
Ryan Day is very, very vocally trying to push Jeremiah Smith for Heisman
because he's a wide receiver and he has to.
Yeah,
I understand it. We're gonna get, and we'll talk about that. Our live show later this afternoon is going to be talking Heisman talk. Who is Ohio State's best candidate for the Heisman Trophy? We're going to be talking Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sand, and Caleb Downs and breaking down their candidacy, what they've done, what it would take for them to get there, what they need to do, because October is here, which means that you can actually start genuinely building that resume. It's not the September Heisman. You can start building that resume. So we'll talk that more tomorrow, which I hope we get Julian Wednesday night too, because I felt like he started to open up his shell a little bit after the game on Saturday, and now that they're letting him loose on the field, I'm wondering if we get the chance to get to know Julian Sand off of it a little bit more as well. So get the text 614-350-3315, 2-week free trial, $3.99. After that, Illinois, Ohio State in Champaign on Saturday. Stefan and I will be there. Andrew's going to a wedding because apparently he has a personal life, I guess. I thought ball was life, but I guess not.
I'm going to be sitting in a Holiday Inn in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, watching Ohio State, Illinois at noon. Ball is always life.
Hey, maybe, I don't know.
You just completely gave away your location for the weekend.
Yeah, I don't know why you told people that.
Can't imagine there's a lot of Holiday Inns in whatever town you just mentioned in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So when people start pulling up, don't be weird about it.
If you want to watch the Ohio State game live with Buckeye Talk, you know where to find Gillis.
Yeah.
That might be too far.
614-350-3315, 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. For Stefan Krajisnik and Andrew Gillis, I'm Stephen Means. Talk to you guys later.